Let's deal with the other issue that you also have an important task on about Adwoa Sarfo. But before that, Dr. Sankwapong, I've got people asking me some questions. I think I should ask you if you feel the same about it. That the president should be speaking live to us rather than a recorded message. What difference does that make?
Good question.
Hello, Dr. Kwapong.
Yes. So I think, it will be the same message, but I think the feel is different, right? That it's like watching a recorded, soccer game versus, watching it live, right? That you get a very different disposition towards it. And I think that's what, some of, that question is coming from, which is, show up live, speak to us directly, straight, because then a recorded means, maybe, you've gone through drafts, massage, etc., etc. But there's just something about a live message that gives you a different connection than so probably I think that's why it is, and I agree with that. Okay,
thank you very much. So on the Adwoa Sarfo matter, let's quickly go to Parliament and hear the Speaker briefly, and Afenyo marking as well as the minority on the questioning of the Adwoa Sarfo being relieved or her seat being declared vacant. Let's do that quickly and come to the studio.
Representation is so crucial that it cannot be left to the subjective view of any person or group of people, but the whole House.
Okay. Okay, right. So what do you say? The minority is disappointed in this. The majority is disappointed in this. The Osei Mensah Bonsu didn't hide his displeasure at all. That the Speaker should have just made that declaration that the report of the committee is sufficient and the seat is declared vacant. Then there's a by-election, rather than say, it should go for debates by the whole House. And now somebody has gone to the Supreme Court about it.
Yes, Samson, I was actually disappointed by the ruling of the Speaker. It's rather unfortunate that the understanding or the interpretation of the Speaker of the Constitution in Article 97(1)(c) is totally wrong, and we do disagree with him entirely. Because, you see, every institution have check and balances and how you be able to regulate. The Speaker is simply trying to tell us that members of Parliament are above the law. And for that matter, anything that happens, members of Parliament should come back to Parliament to be able to take the decision. If you look at exactly what happened, he was the same person who referred the matter to the Committee on Privileges. And even in that, Honorable Muntaka, the minority chief whip, challenged him and said that he is not a member of Parliament and he cannot refer the matter to the Committee on Privileges and it should be done by a member. He was able to fortify himself by Order 27 of our standing orders and said he has the right as the Speaker to do, and with your kind permission, I think he was within. Order 27, rather, of our standing order says that, notwithstanding anything contained in this order, Mr. Speaker may refer any question of privilege to the Committee of Privilege for examination, investigation, and report. So that he was within. But at the end of the day, the committee did a thorough work. It's a committee of Parliament, and at the end of the day, they made a finding. They said that Honorable Kennedy Ajapong have been able to give a reasonable explanation. And Honorable Henry Kote was also able to give a reasonable explanation. Honorable Adwoa Sarfo didn't even appear before the committee. There was a letter to him, there was a WhatsApp message, there were calls, there was advertisement on the newspaper, there was advertisement on Facebook, and other things. Yet, we couldn't even get him to that. So the committee came to a conclusion that by the operation of the law, if you have absent yourself 15 consecutive days for a sitting, by the operation of the law, the seat is already vacant. So on that day that we were adjoining, the issue was that it was on the order paper. And then the majority leader said, no, This thing is not supposed to be on the order paper. It was just supposed to be reporting to the speaker, and the speaker then announcing that the Domi Kobenya seat is vacant, and then the clerk to parliament write to electoral commission to do a by-election. But rather, the speaker is telling us that, okay, he thinks that the report should be debated, laid before parliament, and debated for us to be done. You see, Samson, in every democracy, things happen for a reason. The 137 is actually teaching us a lot of lessons and strengthening our laws. I said so. You see, the first time, when the first deputy speaker was presiding, there was an issue. We went to the Supreme Court. It was interpreted. Right. He's a member of parliament. He has a right to vote. Then the second issue is that when you absent yourself 15 days consecutively, you won't be punished. Let me just cite an example. If it was the 7th parliament, MPP had 169 members of parliament. NDC had 106. So if 20 of MPP members didn't come to parliament, even for 1 year, and you send them to the privileges committee, and then the report is brought to parliament, and you said the privileges should take a decision, we are 169. And you are 107. You can't win any vote against us. For that matter, you can decide not to come to parliament for 2 years, be paid as a member of parliament, enjoy all the privileges that come to a member of parliament.
Adwoa Sarfo has been out of the country for over a year, has not been in this parliament for almost all the time. Maybe except 1 or 2 times. And any time, even the time she came into the house, apart from the voting day for the speaker, the next time was a big controversy, whether she was the one in the house or not.
Good. So something like I cited an example. So if it was the 7th parliament that 20 of our members don't come to parliament for 2 years, and we have majority because we're in majority by 63, and you bring it to the floor, we will vote for our people to stay. So it means that there's no check and balances. Members of parliament are not punished for not attending to the house because that is the reason why we were elected for. So the speaker is setting a very bad precedent for us. And I think...
But the committee decision is also a majoritarian decision.
Yes, but that is the decision of the committee. You see,
what I mean is that whoever is majority in the majority in the committee will have decided what it is.
Thank you, because you see, the point is that in the case of the privileges committee and in the case of absenteeism, it's a direct constitutional requirement that you should do that. We could, if it was within parliamentary setup, we could set up a different committee to look at it. At the moment, one of our colleagues, Honorable Sanid for Ano South MP, have actually sent the case to our court.
And that also may have a potential. That may also have a potential to actually delay the process, because instead of bringing it for you to vote, now it's going to the court. I don't know if the parliament will say, because it's in the court, we won't continue again until it's finished. And you know our court system, it could take for a while. Let me get Clara on this. Clara, what do you make of what is happening in parliament? People are quite disappointed at the speaker for his ruling that that decision should be left to the whole house rather than just a committee.
Thank you very much, Samson. Now, with the issue on that is, it's very clear that both sides of the divide, or all the members in parliament, are agreed that the condition required with respect to vacation of seat and a good reason to be met has been met. So it seems they are all agreed that she has vacated her seat for over 15 days and she has not provided a reason to that effect. The issue that remains is the procedure for declaring a seat vacant. And it's quite a contentious issue because there is quite some jurisprudence on that procedure. There is jurisprudence to the effect that such a decision should not be left only to Parliament because of the potential mischief that could serve, that could achieve at some point. If you look at our Constitution, if you look at Article 97, for example, you can see that the High Court, for example, has jurisdiction to determine whether a seat is vacant or not. There is also the issue of the Asari and Attorney General when that particular issue went to court as to whether or not it is the court that should declare the seat vacant or that should be reserved onto Parliament. Because this issue is already in court, I can foresee that the issue is going to center around the procedure for declaring a seat vacant, and of course, whether the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on that. So for that reason, I would decline making a comment on my opinions about the procedure until after the case has been determined.
Why? The Parliament is also an institution and is working with the powers given it by the states through the Constitution. So why should the court take precedence over what Parliament is doing?
Well, if the Constitution actually also provided for the court that such a situation could be brought to court. So the court has been granted jurisdiction to determine whether or not. I
mean, why the deference to the court when Parliament is seized with the issue and is good? So will Parliament stop the debate because somebody has gone to court?
That is on to Parliament to decide, to determine. But as a practicing lawyer, as a matter of education, I would provide education. But on this particular issue, the bottom line comes to the procedure for declaring a seat vacant in Parliament. And I am informed the issue is already before the court. That is why
Well, we seem to have run out of time, but Dr. Kwapong, can you say something in a minute about this? Are you as disappointed as many Ghanaians?
So I agree with Clara that 97.1 is clear, 1125 is clear. I even quickly read the standing orders of Parliament to see how reports of committees are dealt with, and I seem to get from 2123 of the standing orders that it appears that a report of a committee of Parliament has to come to the full House for debate. So I'm not a big fan of running to the court every time to try and solve some of these administrative procedural issues. But then I think on this, some clarity from the court in terms of how does the declaration of the vacancy actually occurs in terms of who does it and how, I think would be very helpful.
Okay, I can do some 30 seconds with Dr. Kwabena Nyarko Otu. Are you as disappointed as many Ghanaians are that Parliament should have just said your seat is vacant? Imagine a civil servant who has been absent for over a year, is not working and yet has to draw salary. What signals are we sending to the people?
I mean, it's a question of having two different systems for the same people. So the question I will ask the Parliament is, if it were to be one of the parliamentary service staff who has vacated post for 1 year, would they go through all these debates? I mean, these are part of the democratic ethos, the signals we send, which eventually comes to hunters.
Okay. I'm sorry, but we are...